Guys, Dan here, and today I've got a really simple tutorial for you on how to create 3D text and the long shadow effect. The long shadow effect can be, as you can see, I've got two examples here. It can be like a full long shadow where it just cuts out wherever you choose to, or you can have like a faded long shadow, and then obviously you got your 3D text here. So I just made a few examples so you can see instantly what we're going to be creating today. This effect is really nice and clean, especially on like icons and stuff. And obviously 3D text, it can be helpful in many situations, and it's more of a fake 3D look. It's not actually 3D text, it just gives the illusion of 3D, so you might want to bear that in mind. I think this will probably only work best with your text and your more computer generated images, so like vectors and things like that, because if you start applying this to anything that's more real life or that's been taken like a picture, I don't know how you would apply this to a picture anyway, but say if you had say a render of someone and you wanted to put them in a background, and then you wanted them to have a shadow, you're not going to use this effect. It's just going to look a bit stupid. You want something more realistic that fits, but this is more of a I'd say I'd only use this more in like icons, interface design, and then obviously 3D text can be whatever you're making, because 3D text can go in a lot of things. So we're going to start off with the 3D text, and like I said, well, I don't think I did say, they both use the same technique to get to whichever result you're looking for. So what you do to the 3D text is exactly the same as what you do to the faded, or the long shadow, but you just carry it out further, and then you obviously cut it to whatever. In this example, I've just got these circle icons. It looks pretty cool. I think with these ones I prefer the faded one, but it depends what shape you have, and you can change how far out and this goes and stuff. Like I think I dragged this one here out too much, and the shadow kind of looks a bit odd, but it still works. So first off, we're going to get some text here. Let's just write text, because that's what I just said, and then we're going to drag it out, make it very big. Another thing to consider as well is how large you're applying how large the actual object you're applying this effect is on. If it's pretty small, as you can see, this is 500 points, because this is just I believe this is just a 1080p wallpaper. Yep, at 72 resolution. So obviously, if you've got your typical, I don't even know, like 18 points, which is something like you'd be typing in on Word or something, that kind of size. As you can see, it's a bit too small, and it's probably not going to work. So you probably want more of a, what the hell is that up here? Oh, never mind. I don't know what's happened here, but the box has gone up there. We'll just make some more text, and we'll just drag it up. Right, there we go. No. And if you want to scale up in proportion, just hold Alt and Shift. That means you keep it in proportion. It's very nice. Right, so we're just going to center this. Pressing all the wrong buttons now. And so we're going to have some sort of color on this, the face of the text. It just makes it stand out a lot more. I had that on my other one, but for tutorial purposes, so you can see it a bit better while I'm doing this, I'm going to have something like this red one, like the glowy red from the bottom. That looks pretty cool. And we'll add a stroke after, and I'll show you what the stroke does to the effect. It adds quite a nice touch to it, I think. So I'm actually going to spread this text out a bit more, because the X and the T are like joined up, and it looks a bit odd with this font. And yeah, you probably wouldn't be using a thicker font as well. There's another thing, a little heads up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have our text layer, and we're going to hit Control J to duplicate that layer. And then we're going to actually drag this FX off, because we don't want the color overlay. But if you already have colored it by just picking one instead of having a gradient or something, then you probably won't need to do that. And then we need this to be a rasterized layer, so we're going to right click on it and hit rasterize type. Then we're going to drag this below, and then what we're going to do is we're going to hold Control and click the thumbnail box on the layer, which will just select the area of that layer that's filled anyway. And now what we're going to do is we're going to hold Alt, and then we're going to choose the direction we want this 3D to come out. So you can go down, down right, down left, up, sideways. It's completely up to you. I usually go down right. That's what I did on this one. but for tutorial purposes, just to make it different, because you've seen that one, I'll just go down left. So you just want to go down left, down left, down left, alter between your arrow keys, or press them both at the same time. Depends if your keyboard works like that. Oldish, crappy keyboards, you might have a problem. And this one looks, that's actually, it looks alright. And this is where you choose as how far you want it to go. So you probably want quite a bit of a chunk. That looks pretty cool. And now what we're going to do, like I said, is we're going to actually add a stroke to our top layer of text, just to kind of make it all fit together better. So we're going to go on stroke, and make sure you don't have it on outside, because when you have it on outside you get these weird, especially if it's quite a thick outline, you'll notice it'll jump up and it just won't look like it fits properly. It'll look like the text is larger than the actual 3D part, which is not what you want. It doesn't look good, so we're just going to put it to inside, and we're probably not going to have it as thick, probably like a 3, like the default 3 pixels. I don't know, I think that just makes it a lot better, personally. And you could probably go the step further and add some embevel and emboss, so you get that real kind of indent look, so it kind of looks like it's, you know, folding back on itself. But I not messed around with this too much, and I take forever doing bevel and embosses on anything, because I just try every step a million times in different combinations. But you could do that, and it's totally up to you. But that is literally how you do 3D text. And make sure when you do color the back, if you don't want it black, you can obviously go in and change that layer to any color. You can add gradient layers, but don't use anything that's like that, like a grey or a white, unless, I don't even know if that would look right even on a grey and a, I'll try it. It's going to look a bit unusual because the stroke. It kind of works. That almost works, but it's quite hard to see as well, obviously. But because if we were on a black background, I don't think it works at all. You probably want your face text to be a nice bright color, and then you want the change it to yellow now, why not? And then you probably want your text, your 3D part to be darker, like greys, like dark greys and blacks. Even light greys can almost start to mess with it a little bit. So you definitely want something darker than that. Like that is almost to a point where it doesn't work. And then this one here, depending on what screen you're using, that is a black to a really dark grey. As you can see, I can drag that up. It was about there, default. You probably drag up a little bit more. You probably want a little bit of gradient shift, just to give it some extra depth, but not too much. And that's how you create kind of that fake 3D look. If you're wanting to do the long shadow, you pretty much do the same thing. So I'm just going to set up the same scenario here. We're going to have our circle shape. You can use any shape you want, and we're going to color it. This time I'm going to give it an aqua blue. That's not really aqua blue, is it? Aqua's more like a. Nah, I got no idea. I just said it because it sounded cool. But that's a nice blue there. We got like a nice blue. So we got our circle, our icon shape, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to get a shape just from Photoshop itself, because it's a lot easier than finding one and masking it out, blah blah blah. If you have your own shape, obviously just drag that in. For this we're going to use something, you don't want something too complex as well. I don't think it would work too well. I'm going to try the disabled sign, just because, oh sorry, I was holding shift there. Make sure when you keep things in proportion when you're on a I always do this in Photoshop. If you're already on like a shape layer, like a vector layer, if you hold shift before you actually start dragging out to keep it in proportion, you'll notice you get the little plus symbol, which means it's going to add it to the same layer. So always click and then hold shift, because it doesn't matter when you press shift, wherever you are, it'll just automatically put it in proportion for you. So there's a little tip for you. Something I always do. It's rather irritating. We're just going to center this one. we're simply centering it by holding Control A on wherever we want to center. Control A selects the whole canvas, and then you just hit the second and fourth button in this little cluster here. That basically just aligns it horizontally and vertically for you in the center of the canvas. And then obviously, because this shape's a bit, there's more going out here, but there's more going on in the middle, it actually looks center if you move it a bit more to the right. So, and we're going to make this white. It looks better when it comes off white. And now we're going to duplicate this layer, because this is the layer we want our wheelchair dude. We want him to be the shadow, and we're going to make that black. And we're going to obviously put it underneath, and we're going to rasterize it. And then we're going to hold Control, clicking on the thumbnail, holding Alt. We're going to go left, right, or down, right, down, right. And this is where you need to decide how far you want this to go. If you're going for the faded look, you probably could stop about halfway, but if you want the full long shadow look where it literally stops at the end of the circle, you probably just want to keep going until you fill this bottom bit here. So when all of this, so you want this little crevice up here to touch the bottom of your circle. We're going to do the faded circle here, so I'm not going to go as far. Because if you go really far, you then just get this kind of, you kind of just get the outline shadow of the whole thing. And what I mean by that is you don't get all these like circles. You can kind of see where this actual part of the shadow is coming from. But if you go far enough, that'll just go all the way down there. This one will be going all the way down there. There'll be no gap in the middle, so it'll just be like one block. Which for some shapes, whatever situation you've got, will look good. But for this scenario here, I'm not going to do it because I think it might look a bit odd. But that's enough there. And then there's many ways you can make this look like it's fading, but the simplest way is by going down here and make sure you're on the layer, and then just create a clipping mask for it, and then go into your gradient tool, and then make sure you hit the first one in the presets, which is foreground to background. Then you just want to hold shift because we want this at a perfect 45-degree angle, and then we're just going to go up from about there. We probably want to go a bit further than that because we probably want it to be pretty much faded completely from here, so about like that, way more than that, like that, like that. So you get that. That looks really nice. I think it's a bit too much up here, but it looks really nice around here. And that's how you do the faded look. I'll quickly go back a few steps to this, and then I'll show you the full one. You probably want to set up like a macro or something to click these. I'm just mashing down and right at the same time, so I probably got a few wiggly lines where it's not registering up or down a few times, so it's probably going down twice. Instead of going down, right, down, right, down, right, it's going down, down, right, down, right, down, down, right, 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 down, down, like that. Because I can kind of see them now. This is what I mean, like this bit here has not even reached the bottom, but all of this has. So you could probably stop at that. That might look a bit strange, but... And then basically just to cut this, we want to select our circle, holding Control and selecting it. And then we want to click on one of these tools, either the marquee tool, the lasso tool, or the magic wand tool. We want to right click on that area and select inverse, so we've got actually the outside of the circle selected. And on this layer we're going to hit delete, or you can create a clip and mask like this, and you'll notice it'll do the other way, so you would just want to hit Control I to reverse that. Obviously you want to skip the select inverse if you do the clip and mask, like so. You just clip, you just click on the circle, hold Control, it's selected, hit clip and mask, boom, you're done. And then you probably want to turn the opacity down to something about 20 for this one. It's obviously going to vary. And even at this stage you can add the clip and the other effect like that. So that kind of looks better than what we had before, if I'm honest. Probably want a bit more of a faded look, like that. Yeah, that looks good to me. And there you got like a really cool icon, especially when you zoom out a bit more. It's a bit smaller, it's not so large and in your face, and you kind of get that effect a bit more. But obviously it kind of looks a bit strange. I'm not liking the bit from where his head's coming down. It looks a bit odd, but the bit at the bottom here looks really nice. So you probably want to go all the way with this one. but obviously it's going to depend on shape to shape. And this tutorial has gone on way longer than I thought it would, and that's why I said it was a quick version at the start, but obviously not. But yeah, I hope this helped you guys learn a few more effects, and hope it helped you in your work. And that's about it. If you haven't already, subscribe. Like the video if you liked it, disliked it if you disliked it. If you've got any comments or suggestions for other tutorials or anything you think I've missed or you need help on, leave it in the comments and I'll be sure to reply. And that's about it. I'll see you in the next tutorial, guys. Peace.